Grand rising, beautiful beings. Just listening to the crow. The birds have been really noisy this morning, which I love. I love this time of the year where it's a little bit cooler. The birds are more out and about and noisy, and the garden's doing great behind me, and there's a little bit of a breeze. Yesterday was a bit of a warm day, but today's beautiful. So I've come into the garden to have a chat about module 2 from A Spirited Life. So we've covered module 1, which was the Nutcracker, and chapter 1 was about the mind, beliefs versus truths, reality check please. So a lot of the time people will believe what they think and stand by their truth, but just because it's your truth doesn't make it actually a universal truth. So it was looking at beliefs versus truth, reality check please, and that's really important. I think it's really important for society now to have a really good look at beliefs versus truth, reality check please, because it's going a bit wibbly wobbly out there with a lot of people believing things that aren't true, and you're not allowed to speak truth anymore in some countries, or you get, what is it, cancer culture. It's just weird. So anyway, can we come back to the mind and get some rational thinking, learn how to critical think, really have a look at what it is that's going on inside of you that's driving such insane behavior. It's no measure of good health to be adjusted to a sick society. Krishnamurti said something similar to that. They're not his exact words, but in my words, as I interpret that, it's no measure of good health to be well adjusted to a sick society. And our society, in my view, is sick for the most part. And then I remember the beauty, then I remember the sane ones, and I remember the ones that are on the journey with me, and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. We are in a polar world. So that means for every saint there's going to be a sinner, and all types of people in between. Every race has prey and predator. Can't get away from that either. And that doesn't mean to say that prey doesn't defend and prey doesn't stand up for what they need to stand up for. It just seems its predators just don't have a conscience about who they hurt and why they hurt. So module 2 is about getting real, and chapter 4 is mind and powering beliefs. What do you think and why you might? A lot of people don't even question what they think. A lot of what people do is just on autopilot. And then all of a sudden you start to become more conscious of what you're thinking. And then that can be a trippy experience, to become the observer, to all of a sudden have this outside perspective looking in. It's happened to me on numerous occasions where I felt like I'm looking at myself, my view, where I live, what I do, from slightly looking through somebody else's eyes and getting this different perspective on how I'm perceived. And then realizing, well, people are going to misperceive anyway, because they're only always looking at through their own lens. So it's really getting clear on what do you think and why you might. If you challenge the thoughts that limit you, then you challenge the belief systems that limit you. Well, that keeps you limited. So if you challenge the thoughts that limit you, I'm not good enough, I don't know how to do that, I'm not worth that. If you challenge those thoughts, because that keeps you limited, you will challenge the belief system that keeps you limited, and you'll break through that and start to have different experiences. So what do you think? So much of our everyday life happens on autopilot that a lot of the time we are unaware what thoughts are driving that action. When you begin to live a more balanced life between stillness and doing, play and chores, work and rest, passionate and mundane, you create space to hear what you think. But if you don't create that time, or if you don't have that balance in your life, you're not going to know what work is, what play is. You're not going to know what fills your cup up. You're not going to know that balance, because you're just being driven to do one thing, then rest, one thing, then rest. It's where's play? Where's that filling your cup up? Rest so that you can go back to a job that you're not happy with. I don't see that as a balanced life. A lot of how society actually is constructed is not balanced. To work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and have 2 weeks off, that's not balanced. That's not balanced at all. You've got to ask yourself why. Why is our society constructed like that? Doesn't have to be. When you really think of it, take a step back and have a high perspective, it does not have to be constructed that way. It just doesn't. Change needs to happen. So one way to hear what you think is to start observing your behavior. We also have black cockatoos. Sorry for the interruption. So one way to hear what you think is to start observing your behavior. So how are you acting out? How are you treating yourself? Observe what you speak as opposed to what you think. It's like listen to the words that are coming out of your mouth, especially when you're talking about yourself. How are you describing yourself? How are you putting yourself down? And why are you doing that? Well, it's another way to know what you are thinking is to conduct research into subjects, topics you have not researched before, to expand your knowledge and awareness, because then that'll show you where your closed mind or small-mindedness has hit a wall that you've put around yourself by researching, and not just opinions or beliefs or things that support your point of view, but do research on the opposite point of view. Get a broad perspective, because there's not just ever one side to one thing. It's always, as they say, not two sides, three sides. Your story, my story, the story. So do research into topics. And what that'll do, it'll help to assist in exposing the limited thoughts that you had, especially with the propaganda that they've been pumping out for decades. A lot of people have got misinformed perceptions or opinions or beliefs around things that are not true. They're actually based on lies. They're actually based on spin. Do you remember there was a TV show called Spin City? It was actually about politicians and how good they were at spinning the truth to suit their narrative. So do some exploring, do some research, because it'll help you be aware of the beliefs that you had before the research. Another powerful way to hear what you are thinking is by looking at what is happening in your life, in your immediate environment, inside of you, your relationships, your work, your hobbies, your interests, what's happening in your life now. That's a really good way to hear what it is you are thinking, because we get a feedback loop. What we think, we can't help but then hold a vibration that matches that frequency, and then generally we hold that in our energy field that sends a vibration out, attracts it back. When you take a metaphoric step back and have a look at your life from a grander time perspective, what I mean by this is sit in contemplation, think back over the past to where you are today, then project into the future. You can actually get an insight to where you are, on whether you are on track or not. So go back to your, I don't know so much about toddlers, but definitely your teens, your 20s, your 30s, depending on how old you are, your 40s, your 50s. Are you where you thought you would be when you were in your 20s, or did you not even project that far ahead? So this is a complete unknown, which is probably more to my story, is never really projecting that far ahead and ending up where I am going, wow, this is amazing, look where I've landed. But are you where you thought you would be? And are you on track to where you actually want to be? And if the answer is no, then the power is in your hands to turn that around and do something different. Because are you where you thought you would be? Are you happy with where you are right now? What is the quality of your life really like? Really important questions to ask yourself to find out what's going on in here, which is driving your behavior, which is resulting in your life experience. If any of it is distorted, discordant, out of balance, or disheartening, then you know that there is something inside of you that needs acknowledging and accepting to create change. There's no point belittling it even more, or critiquing it even more, or getting down on yourself even more. That's not going to help. It's be more helpful to accept where you're at, understand why you're at where you're at with no judgment, just honest acceptance. okay? Where's that rational thinking? We've dived so long into our emotional fields that tends to be what's driving everybody, but emotions aren't necessarily based on fact either. Emotions can be drama, stories, trauma, abuse. There could be reactions, responses based on beliefs, based on past experiences that we're holding on today, which is having an immediate influence on our now, but also it'll have it on our future. So if anything is disordered, you need to acknowledge and accept it before you can even create change. And about the acknowledging and the accepting is we're born a clean slate. So it's like whatever beliefs that you've ended up with, the self-narrative that you keep telling yourself, and if it's any way, shape or form negative, don't add fuel to the fire. Accept that it's come from somewhere. It didn't just happen on its own, and you weren't born that way. Things have happened in your life that have created this scenario, this belief, this action, this behavior, this reaction, this response, whatever it is. That has formed it. It hasn't come from nowhere. So one could say we are born a clean slate, a mind that has a consciousness but very limited awareness. We didn't even know how to sit when we were born. And for the rest of our lives, our minds and consciousness take in our surroundings, environment and experiences and attempts to learn off them. So you can see that it would have been your immediate caregivers, parents and siblings, immediate family, and whoever was a strong presence in your early life were the ones that actually influenced you. That family dysfunction or function, the family dynamic, the other siblings' personalities, characters, and their own wounding, all these things played a role in creating who you are today. Because they're the ones that influenced your take on life and assisted in building the foundations to your belief systems. We didn't have anything else to compare it to. We thought this was it. This is life. This is what every family does. And there's a beautiful picture. So this is downloadable on my website. This picture, I love this picture. If only we all had that magic umbrella to ward off the toxic spew that lands on children sometimes. So we're not born prejudiced, we're not born bigoted, and we're not born religious either. I'm just going to read this now. I've never met a Christian, Muslim, atheist, Sikh, Seventh-day Adventist, Mormon, liberal, conservative, Antichrist, socialist, Marxist, communist, libertarian, Hindu, Zionist, American, Briton, French, Icelandic, South African, Australian, German. I've only ever met other humans, some of whom have let themselves be divided by labels. Again, the mind comes in, creates this division and this label, and then separates us. And yet, we all know that when we pass, what's left? A skeleton. It doesn't show us the color of our skin. It doesn't show the belief of our religious persuasion. It doesn't show our sexual preferences. It just shows us this, we're all humans. All the rest that goes on to make us who we were, it's gone. It's no longer there. From the day you were conceived, all limiting thoughts and negative beliefs were influenced from your life experience with those around you and how you interpreted those experiences. Let me read that again. From the day you were conceived, remembering you were conceived via your mother's egg and your father's sperm. So you're made up of their memories, who's made up of their parents' memories, and so on and so forth. So even from the moment you're conceived, you are, all your limiting thoughts, your negative beliefs are influenced from your life experiences, those around you, and how you interpreted those experiences. There's a famous saying that life has no meaning until you give it meaning. So all your experiences, you're the one that's applying the meaning to them. You're the one that's choosing to see it the way it is. truth or not truth, doesn't matter. That's just the truth. That how you are seeing something is how you are choosing to see it. As children, we did not have the world experience or language and understanding to not internalize and personalize those negative experiences, nor did we have the safety to speak up for ourselves and go, hey, you can't do that, that's wrong. For some of us, that would have ended up in some kind of physical punishment, or it could have ended up with some kind of other physical reaction towards us. So there's much to be said that as children, one, we didn't have other families or other realities to compare it to besides television, and that was all acting and that wasn't real. And so the family dynamic that goes on, and we go to school and we learn and we just, that's it. We think that that's what life is. And then we get out into the real world and we realize, oh no, it's something different. And this comes down to the research, is you cannot know what you do not know. It's impossible to know what you do not know. But how are you going to go and know? How are you going to go and find out? By sitting and not doing any research? By excluding and removing yourself from certain topics of conversation or experiences? We've got to stretch ourselves beyond our comfort zone to be able to learn more, to be able to address the sickness that's in society now, and even the sickness that's within ourselves, with the way we think and the way we act and the way we treat other people. On top of close personal relationships and life experiences, media, television, unscrupulous advertising and marketing campaigns that have got no qualms about lying through their teeth to you just so you would buy their product. There's also the education system, the health system, all influencing what you believe today. It's like, no wonder we don't realize all it is that we think and believe. It would be a neuron overload. Our mind takes in far more every day, every minute, than what we are consciously aware of. And then it molds us if we're not aware. If we don't know who we are, if we don't know our own core values and our own beliefs, we will get molded into something that maybe we don't want to be molded into. So George Carlin's got a great quote here. We drink too much, smoke too much, spend too recklessly, laugh too little, drive too fast, get too angry, stay up too late, get up too tired, read too little, watch TV too much. We have multiplied our possessions but reduced our values. We talk too much, love too seldom, and hate too often. We've learned how to make a living, but not a life. We've added years to life, but not life to years. Isn't that perfect? That's George Carlin. So this is why it's important to take time to reflect in on yourself. Check where you're at and realize what or whose life you are actually living. Is it your own? Or is it what you think you're meant to be doing? Or is this what somebody else wanted for you? And you don't have the courage yet to say, no, that's not for me. And this picture here is a picture of how our brains learn. So this one is hearing words. So that part of the brain lights up when we hear words. When we are seeing words, that part of our brain lights up. When we're speaking words, that part of our brain lights up. And thinking about words, that part of our brain lights up. So you imagine, I'm speaking, I'm reading, I'm hearing. All this is lighting up my brain and having a reaction. So your brain is a self-organizing, creative system. Every skill and ability you have was self-constructed in a specific region of your brain as a result of practice and application over long periods of time. This is the other thing I've realized, is like as children, we didn't have any qualms about having to learn to sit, to stand, to crawl, to walk, to talk, to feed ourselves, dress ourselves, read, write, all those things we learned. But as adults, when it comes to learning something new, there's just so much fear and anxiety around it, even around opening the mind up to being wrong. I mean, it's just like people are afraid of being wrong. People are so afraid of they've made a mistake and they get called out. What's the problem? Even if you fucked up and you treated someone really poorly, or you reacted from this really wounded space and was narky to somebody, own it. Put your hand up and say, I'm so sorry, I fucked up. I came from a space that was unconscious. I came from a space that was wounded. I didn't mean to react that way. I didn't mean to respond that way. You're owning it. Then it can't be held over you anymore. There's no guilt and shame in owning, I'm human, I made a mistake, I'm trying to do better. It is much better than trying to pretend that, hey, I'm unreal, I don't do anything wrong, and you're all fucked up. It doesn't work like that. It just shows who you are inside. It has got no reflection on other people. It's just showing people what's going on inside here. So don't be afraid to make mistakes. Don't be afraid to fall down. Practice. Every great master started out as a novice. Every great master started out not knowing. They may have had an innate ability. They may have already had that natural gift, but they honed it. They practiced it. They lent into it and expanded upon it. It just didn't happen for them. They had to participate and make something of it. We can do that too. On anything you set your mind to, you can do it. You've just got to set your mind to it and have that tenacity, that perseverance, that drive to keep going. So there are also other factors to take into consideration when considering your beliefs. You are a product of your mother and father, literally. Their egg and sperm is what made you today. And in each and every living cell in this body, in your body, there is a memory of them. There is a memory of your parents, your mother, your father in you. Then there's a memory of your grandparents in you, because your parents were made up of their cells. And your grandparents were made up of their parents' cells. So within your body, you literally do carry the memory of your ancestors. So that can influence you as well from a very unconscious space. Another dimension can influence you from another place. And some of our beliefs we actually inherit through our family lineage. There is also past life, if you believe in reincarnation. And remember that time is a man-made construct. To me, time is for the physical strong construct. It's just a way we humans get to measure life, or it's a way us humans get to organize our everyday. Book you into my calendar. This is what I've got on today. So time helps us organize our lives and measure experiences. That's it. Otherwise, time does not exist for any other being on this planet. Trees don't count their lives by years. Animals certainly don't count their days by minutes. We are the only ones that actually do that. Whatever the origin of your beliefs, in the end, it doesn't matter. As they are beliefs, and if they're from wherever past, all we have is now, this very now moment, what I call the now. So all we have is now, but you can do something with now. You can't do something with the past, but you can certainly do something now. And now is what you can do something with those beliefs. Now you can begin to heal the untruths and have you under a spell. Now you begin to heal. Now you begin to hear yourself. Now you begin to realize the thoughts, your beliefs that have been driving you all this time, the conscious awareness of language, words and energy. It's bringing that back into your life. So I'm just watching a blue banded bumblebee in the garden. Beautiful. Understanding what it is you believe and what it is that you think, it actually takes time, practice and patience. You didn't learn to run without learning to crawl first, so it is with anything new, practice and perseverance. The seed remembers. In every cell is the seed of everything. The mystery of energy is the magic of a miracle. And this is the other thing, is like practice observing yourself, your beliefs. This is the whole part of coming to realize what it is your beliefs are, what it is that you do think and why you might, is just practice observing. Practice listening. Journaling is a really good way also of writing down your thoughts so you can actually get a clear picture. And again, like I said, it lights up a different part of your brain, and we all have different ways of learning. Some people learn by hearing better. Some people hear by seeing the words better. It's different for all of us. So try reading, listening, speaking, recording yourself even is another beautiful way of recording affirmations. Is you record yourself saying the affirmations to yourself, and then when you're feeling down or you're feeling a little bit lost or you just need a little bit of a pickup, replay your affirmations that are in your own words to yourself, and it does have a different impact. So just be prepared to observe. Don't judge, don't criticize, don't belittle, and don't critique, because that'll just close you down even more. You want to keep opening up to yourself. You want to keep digging deeper to get to know yourself even better. And the more that you judge, the more you're going to close off to yourself. And the more you judge yourself and close yourself off, the more you're going to judge everybody outside of you. And you're going to have strong opinions about what they're doing, what they're saying, how they're living, what they're doing, while you've got absolutely no control over yourself. So then also prepare for a period of cognitive dissonance. This is where you've gotten to a point where you can realize what you need to let go of. You need to change your thoughts. So that letting go of literally means I'm not going to keep thinking about it. I'm not going to keep ruminating on it. I'm not going to keep holding on to that injustice, or I'm not going to keep holding on to that frustration or that bitterness. I'm not going to keep holding on to what other people want. But it takes time to even get to that point of realization. And then there's going to be a period of cognitive dissonance when your mind goes, this is going to be healthier for me. This is a true belief for me. And you hold on to that belief, and you know that's what you want to experience, and you start walking yourself towards it. Then all of a sudden you feel like part of you is going back to old habits. Like you're thinking, God, am I addicted to this? Why do I keep going back to this? Why do I want to keep repeating this when I know it's not good for me, and I know I don't want to keep experiencing this, but I'm going there, or I'm doing that, or I'm thinking that, or I'm feeling that? Is allow yourself that period of cognitive dissonance, because the body is programmed to the old ways of what you were thinking and doing and behaving. And it takes time for the body to catch up to what is now new and becoming ingrained. So while the old is dying out, while the old is kind of like being erased, or that rut that you're in is being filled up, it takes time for a new habit, new thought, new action, new beliefs, new desires to become the stronghold. And the body then responds and reacts and walks with that and lives with that and actually guides with you on that journey. But there is a period between the old and the new where there is this funny mixture of the both. So don't get hard on yourself. Don't get down on yourself when you think you're going back to. Just acknowledge and realize, okay, I've just got to keep practicing at this. I've got to keep having mercy for myself, and I've got to keep trying better and keep moving forward. And you will get there. But if you stop and you stay put with what was or what could be, you're not going to get anywhere. You've got to keep moving forward. So allow yourself that period of cognitive dissonance, and you will get there. So next time we're going to be talking about the matter and energizing the body, and that's going to be between doing and being, finding the balance between doing and being, we'll talk about. So have a beautiful day. I hope this has helped you in some way, shape or form. Take good care of you.